In Mark 2:13, Mark jumps to a completely different episode of the life of Jesus. Jesus had just finished healing a paralytic, and now he goes back to the lake, to the Sea of Galilee, to preach the gospel. And let's see what happens. Mark 2:13, let's read. Kai exelsen palin paraten thalassen, kai pasho oklos erchito prosauton, kai didasken autus. This verse can be considered a sort of transition verse from one episode to another. And so, as you can see, it's very simple. It's made up of two sentences. The first one is this one, and then you have this one here. And you have three verbs. So, exelsen, ergeto, and edidasken. And as you can see, all the three verbs are introduced by a conjunction, kai, and. All right, typical of Mark. Now, in the first sentence, this is the verb, number one, and then you have a simple adverb here, and then you have the place. Okay, so it's a prepositional phrase introduced by the preposition para, and then you have the object of the prepositional phrase that indicates where Jesus was going. And then you have the second sentence that has two verbs, so ergeto, verb 2, and edidasken, verb 3, where the subjects are different. So in the first one, the subject is right here, pas ho oklos, where the simple subject is ho oklos and pas is just an adjective that it's connected to the subject. And then you have this other prepositional phrase, very similar to this prepositional phrase up here. The only thing is that the preposition is different. So up here is para. We're going to see what that means. Now the preposition is pros, but both of them hold an accusative case. And then you have the last verb introduced by Kai that has autus as direct object. All right. So very extremely simple from a grammatical point of view. And so we're going to be able to start translating right away. All right. Kai means and then the verb. So the subject here is Jesus, and the verb exelsen is the same verb that was used in Mark 2:12 to indicate when the paralytic went away. So this is the same verb, went away. So it comes from the verb ex erchomai. Sorry, this is a key, erchomai, which is made up of the preposition ek, which we know means out of, or in generally away. Okay, and then plus the verb erchomai, and the verb erchomai means simply to go or to come, depending on the context. All right. So in this case, is Jesus moving away from the place he was? He was in a house in Capernaum, and he decides to go. So and he went away or went out of the house, right? Palin. So palin is an adverb that just means again, again. Again, it indicates a repetition, an action that he used to do multiple times. And this is true because Jesus loved to go to the Sea of Galilee, right? And so he went out once more or again, para ten talasan. Now, the preposition para indicates a movement around, okay, in general, around, okay, which is very fitting for the Sea of Galilee, which was not really a sea; it was very small. It was probably more of a lake, but it's generally indicated also as the sea, right? And in fact, you find here the object of the preposition is this accusative, then thalasan, where thalasan is the accusative, feminine singular of the word thalassa, which means sea. Okay, which means sea. All right, and this is the accusative feminine singular of the definite article. So literally means around the sea. And he went away again around the sea. So it indicates this action of Jesus going towards the sea and walking by the seashore. Okay. That's where he had found already Peter and Andrew and John and James and had called them. All right. And in fact, again, by going to the sea, we're going to see in the next episodes, he's going to find his next apostle. All right. Second sentence uh, starts again with a chi, and now the subject here switches, not Jesus anymore, but it's this ho oklos. So ho is a masculine singular in the nominative case because it's a subject, and oklos is in masculine singular nominative, and it's the crowd. Okay, the crowd. So this is the crowd. Okay, and Marx says pas. Pas, it's a nominative masculine singular adjective that means all. Okay, all. So we could translate all the crowd, or even in the plural if you want. All the crowd indicates basically all the people, right? Mark want to give this sense that all the people were following Jesus. Okay, and all the crowd. Ergeto. Well, it's exactly the same verb, ergomai. Okay, the verb ergomai, ergeto. So it's the same verb here. Okay, but here it's in the aorist tense, which is irregular. You see this elsen, which doesn't really sound like ergomai. But here you have ergeto, which is just an imperfect, because it indicates an action that was continuously happening. Okay, and so we could translate in English as and all the crowd would go pros auton pros, differently from para. It's a preposition that indicates a movement toward. Okay, towards. So para is more around, to process more towards something or somebody. And in this particular case, they were coming to him, right? And this auton is a personal, is a pronoun, is a pronoun, personal pronoun, yes, personal pronoun in the third person singular. In the accusative case, you see this ending on, masculine singular accusative, okay, which means him, okay, him. Now, para wants the accusative, and also pros wants the accusative, and indicates emotion toward him, right? So, and all the crowd would go to him, basically, would go to him. And the last piece of information that Mark gives us is that, and now here the subject again switches to Jesus, uh, but of course Mark doesn't specify that because it's obvious from the context. The verb now becomes a didasken, which comes from the verb didasco. Okay, didasco, which means to teach, to teach. Okay, from this you have some terminology in English like didascalic, which means anything that is related to education and teaching. And so again, it's in the imperfect because it's an action that Jesus would do continuously. So continuously the crowd would come to him, and continuously he would teach autus. You see the same construct. So it's exactly the same personal pronoun, but this one in on in indicates a masculine singular, is autus indicates a masculine plural. Okay, so now it's Jesus that teach the masses, okay, them, the crowds, them. So this autos means them. All right, so we can put everything together and translate. And once again, he went out by the sea, and all the crowd would come to him, and he would teach them.